Today we're gonna find out how well a bike is made from a company that sells over 500,000 bikes to over 50 countries. Oh wait, before I begin the unboxing, I gotta grab a couple more boxes because this is a passenger bike that only cost $900. Let's get to it. This box out of here. Took the screw out of this handlebar piece. Just slide this out. Add the handlebars, put the screw up, pop it through both holes, screw this down a little bit. Once it's lined up, just clamp that down. Up we go. Push that down to tighten it up, and there we go. All right, the bike is all set up. It took me about 35-40 minutes to unbox it, unwrap it, and put it all together. These guys also sent me some accessories. So this is the rear rack. And like most rear racks, it's just gonna bolt onto the rack that comes with the bike. Actually a pretty large rack as well. One of the bigger ones I've seen, especially for the frame of the bike. But I don't wanna add this on there because I wanna add this. This is the seat and handlebars that goes behind the saddle. And then up front, there's just this rack that goes right here somewhere. Okay guys, that's with everything on, all the accessories on, except the rear rack. Front rack is on, just 3 bolts, pretty easy to install. I did have to move the headlight to the front part, but then moving back here underneath the saddle, put on the handlebars, 2 bolts there, 2 bolts there, just clamps around the seat post. Before you put this on, make sure that the saddle is set to your height because you're gonna have a tough time pushing that down now. And here's the second passenger setup. So you got a nice cushy pad, a backrest, which also has a pad. There's this L bracket that I just mounted to the frame. Then you got this cool reflective box. Hello. Got 2 keys and it does lock, as you can see. Look at that. Has this lip here so you can put some stuff in there and it's not gonna fall out. I also put on these guards that just Velcro to the frame so your clothes don't get sucked into the wheel. And then you got foot pegs on each side that just go on with 2 bolts. Okay, so now that the unboxing and assembly is complete, it is time to figure out how good a $900 2-passenger bike is. Oh, and by the way, that price tag is the same price as the electric XP 3.0. And I mentioned that price because I don't think I've ever seen a 2-passenger bike for less than $1,000 until now. But you get a lot more than just the option to take a second rider. And the first are hydraulic brakes. A couple of years ago, if you looked at e-bikes for less than $1,000, you pretty much couldn't find hydraulic brakes. And nowadays, pretty much every bike less than $1,000 has hydraulic brakes. Anyways, you got some pretty good stopping power with this bike. I came down the road at full speed, slammed on the brakes, and stopped within about 25 to 30 feet. The only thing I didn't like about the brakes is that the back end does fishtail a little bit, especially on a smoother surface. Anyways, these are mineral oil brakes. The right side controls the rear, left side the front. When you hit the brake lever, the tail light flares up and it is quite bright. And you do have motor cutoff. Well, the second thing that impressed me about this bike is its hill climbing ability. I took this up a 15% grade, half a block long hill, started at the bottom without any momentum, just used the throttle. And by the time I got to the top, I was hitting 7 miles per hour. And that brings us to the third thing of why I think you get a lot for the price of this bike. And that's all the suspension and how cushy of a ride this is. So first off, saddle is very comfortable. There's a vent hole in the middle, so it's gonna cool you down in the right places, but it's super cushy, very thick. If all bikes had a saddle like that, then I would be a happy man. Okay, underneath the saddle is a seat post suspension. Got some pretty good travel on that. I mean, just watch as I pop on this. I'm sinking in the good way. And then up front, you got a front fork suspension. Now for the price, that suspension's not the best. If I push down hard enough, I can bottom that out. But when it comes to riding, the only time I bottom that out is when I was coming up on a curb about 3 inches and I was going 25 miles per hour. So I mean, I was hitting that thing hard. Other than that, it's been just fine. Okay, so those were a few of the things that I thought made this bike stand apart from the crowd. So let's talk about a few standard features. And the first one is the size of the motor. That's a 750 watt. And that motor gives power to 5 pedal assist levels, and it shows up in bar form. And on pedal assist 1, while pedaling, I got 11 miles per hour. On level 2, 14. Pedal assist 3, 16. Pedal assist 4, 21. and pedal assist 5, 26. The speed rating is 28 miles per hour, so I was too shy of that. But in my experience with bikes in this price range, you're getting anywhere from 21 to 28. So 26 is on the higher side of that. Now this does have a pretty nice feeling thumb throttle. I do like that throttle. And the power matches the pedal assist level. So if you put on pedal assist 1 and you only use the throttle, you're gonna top out at 11 miles per hour. And then on level 5, you'll top out at 26. I could run through the other pedal assist levels, but I think you get the point. Oh, and when you hold that throttle down for about 4 to 5 seconds, the cruise kicks on. Just kind of feeling lazy. Don't want to do a dang thing. Now the acceleration is what I would call less than standard. Well, if you're pedaling, that is. On all 5 pedal assist levels, it took about 4 to 5 revolutions for the power to actually hit. And when it does come on, it feels about the same. I think the only difference between the 5 pedal assist levels is how fast you go. The power delivery, how much power you get, is not affected. Now when using the throttle, that's a whole different story. As soon as I hit that, the power goes and it hits hard. So if you wanna rip off the line on a $900 2-passenger bike, you're gonna wanna use the throttle. Okay, so now as I enter this tunnel, let us talk about range because it's important and it needs to be discussed. Well, underneath the saddle, you got a 48 volt, 15.6 amp hour battery. And the only thing I don't like about the range is the recharge time, 7 to 8 hours for a full charge. But they say when fully charged, you can take this up to 52 miles. The other day when I was testing this bike out, I just went for like a 6-mile ride. When I left the house, I had a full charge. When I got back, I had 1 battery bar missing. I was topping the bike out. So I think if you rode it a little bit more conservatively than I did, 50 might be doable. Now there are a few things that I didn't like about this bike. And the first one is when riding with one hand, every now and again, if you're going around 20 miles an hour, it starts to shake just a little bit. And then the other one is how far the throttle's over. This piece here for the brake is pretty bulky. And so usually I like to hold the grip out here on the outside. And with this bike, I got to scoot it in so I can just easily reach the throttle. And now for some more things that I liked. And the first one is the tires. I just think that those look pretty cool. I like that design, but they're also a thicker tire. And so getting flats is going to be less likely with these. And then I like how you can adjust a bunch of stuff. So the first thing is the handlebars. There's this quick release. You can rotate those forward, bring them back. You can increase or decrease your posture a little bit by doing that. But the big one is the handlebar height. You have another quick release. Drop those all the way down and lift them up all the way to, wait for it. Wow, that's going up high. Okay, there we go. I feel like I'm doing this now. And the rider size is 5'2" to 6'4". And then I also like how bright the taillight is. I mentioned that earlier, but when you hit that lever, that thing flares up. And then you also have a bright headlight as well. To finish the review, it's time for rapid fire to say all the stats I haven't mentioned yet. And I probably don't need to mention this first one because, as you can see, it's a step-through bike. I worked on that demonstration for a long time. This also comes in 2 colors. It is foldable. The handlebars fold down, the seat goes down, or you can take it out. The pedals fold in, and then the frame breaks in half. And if you wanted to carry this and put it in your car, it's not too heavy at 66 pounds. It has a carrying capacity of 265 pounds, which in my opinion is a little bit light for a 2-passenger bike. Definitely gonna be meant for a small child to be back here or a light rider to be up here. You got some options. Moving up in the handlebars, gotta show you a few things here. First are the grips. Those are wing-tipped, stitched leather grips bolted onto the handlebars. Actually feel pretty nice. Underneath that is a trigger style 7-speed shifter. Rapid fire, nice and smooth. Haven't had any issues there. Bikes this cheap typically have the SIS index shifter, which is pretty much bottom of the line as far as shifters. That is not. That's up a little bit. But in the back, that's matched with the tourney derailleur. I want to talk about the battery for a little bit longer because you can take this out. There's a key. Once you unlock it, it just pops right out. You can also turn it on and off. Last thing I want to show you is the frame. It's got this sparkleness to it. I do like that. I don't like the welding scars up by the head tube and pretty much where there's any joint. So not the nicest welding job, but again, it's a more affordable bike, so you're not gonna see that. Okay, so that wraps up the DYU C9 2-passenger bike. Now, of course, the 2-passenger part is an accessory. You do have to pay extra for that, but it's not a lot of money. This setup here is still gonna make this bike less than $1,000. But for the price, you got pretty good hill climbing ability, a good top speed, 27 miles per hour. Acceleration is slow with pedaling, but not slow with throttle. If you wanna check it out, I got the link in the description. And as always, I appreciate you guys hopping on here and checking out my content. And I'll see you in like in a day or two on the next one.